There are over 33,000 gangs in the United States, and an estimated 1.4 million people living in the US are gang members. That's more than the entire population of Dallas, Texas. Gangs are notoriously secretive about their members and whereabouts, but surprisingly, there are even some NBA players with gang ties. Here are 10 NBA players who are in a gang. DeMar DeRozan. Even though NBA players perform on the world stage and travel all around the country, many, if not most of them, grew up in one of several major cities in the US. Los Angeles, California is very often one of these cities, and this is where DeMar DeRozan was born and raised. In fact, DeRozan was born specifically in the city of Compton in the year 1989, which means he spent his childhood in the exact same environment that produced NWA and gangster rap. Gang violence was an unfortunate part of DeRozan's upbringing. His uncle was actually a Compton Crip and was killed in a gang war when DeMar was just 5 years old. And when DeMar was 17, his best friend was also shot and killed. DeRozan once told ESPN, quote, "People always ask me what I would have done if it wasn't for basketball. I can never give a good story because I honestly don't know. I had no other options," end quote. It's been rumored that DeMar was actually protected by the Crips growing up. This would have been because of his family ties to the gang and his promising basketball skills. If true, this could mean that DeMar DeRozan's rise to NBA success is owed in part to gang affiliations. Tony Allen. Besides Los Angeles, another major city that seems to produce tons of NBA players is Chicago, Illinois. Chicago has unfortunately been the epicenter of gangs and gang-related violence in America for some time, and this is the environment that future NBA champion Tony Allen grew up in. According to Tony himself, it was a really rough upbringing. In 2017, Tony told Slam magazine, quote, "You name it, I did everything under the sun. I was never a thief, more trying to hustle. Not scam, hustle. Move drugs. That's the reality of my situation," end quote. Allen has allegedly flashed gang signs during NBA games, and in 2005, he was involved in a bar brawl in Chicago. One person was killed, and Tony was indicted on several counts of aggravated battery, but was later found not guilty. However, ever since the incident, Allen required extra security when playing in his hometown, as there was reportedly threats on his own life. J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith grew up in New Jersey, not far from New York City. While his childhood wasn't spent in a gang epicenter like Chicago or LA, Smith has on multiple occasions provided evidence to suggest gang affiliation. Like Tony Allen, J.R. Smith has occasionally flashed hand signs that some have interpreted to be related to the Bloods. This is a controversial part of NBA history. It's not always clear what players are communicating with their celebratory gestures. And while many are quick to assume the meaning and implore the NBA to impose fines on players, others are more skeptical. Perhaps in an attempt to absolve fans' uncertainty while playing for the Denver Nuggets, JR took to Twitter and began replacing the letter C with the letter K in all of his tweets. This was taken as a much less ambiguous sign that JR was somehow affiliated with the Bloods. Smith actually shut down his Twitter account soon after this. Zach Randolph played in the NBA for almost 20 years. He was drafted by the Portland Trail Blazers back in 2001. Presumably, while living there, Randolph became connected to a Portland gang known as the Hoop Family. The Hoop Family is associated with the Crips and have been on law enforcement's radar repeatedly over the years. The Hoop Family has been investigated for things like murder, drugs, and illegal weapons. The gang even supposedly put a hit out on another NBA player named Sebastian Telfair. The details of this are not clear, but Telfair apparently feared enough for his life that he obtained an assault rifle, which he kept on his premises. Carmelo Anthony. Carmelo Anthony grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and like most of the other players on this list, he was exposed to a fair share of gang violence as a youth. In 2004, Carmelo Anthony appeared in a home video that some of his neighborhood friends were making. It turns out the video, which was produced by Rodney Bethea, aka Skinny Sudge, was a fairly threatening message to anyone willing to rat out drug dealers. Some of the men in the video claimed to be drug dealers themselves. The video was called Stop Snitching, and DVDs of it quickly began spreading all across the country. Corresponding t-shirts soon also became popular. most often depicting a stop sign covered in bullet holes with the words "Stop Snitching" written on it. As an active NBA player, Melo probably had a PR person at the time, and they probably had a brain aneurysm when the video was released. Carmelo has since been quick to assure everyone that the video was supposed to be a joke, but not everyone took it as one, to say the least. The Stop Snitching video garnered so much attention that the Baltimore Police Department even created their own video in response, which they called Keep Talking. The subject of talking to the police is complex and controversial, and has continued to be so to this day. Stephen Jackson. Stephen Jackson has been one of the more open and honest players in recent NBA history. He made headlines back in 2018 when he told reporters he smoked pot for his entire career, sometimes even before games, sometimes even with his former coach Don Nelson, who is now a full-blown pot farmer living in Hawaii. Jackson has also been very open about his past connections to gang violence. He grew up in Port Arthur, Texas, and when he was 16, Jackson's older brother was tragically killed. Jackson has also reportedly said that he has been previously associated with the Bloods. However, he denies having any involvement with gang activities. Javaris Crittenton. Most of the players on this list either grew up around gang violence before making it to the NBA and rising out of their humble backgrounds. But Javaris Crittenton is unique in that he actually got involved with gangs after making it to the NBA. Crittenton was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in 2007. Shortly after this, Crittenton reportedly joined a West LA street gang named the Mansfield Gangster Crips. Later on in his career, Crittenton was cut from the Washington Wizards after he pulled a gun on his own teammate Gilbert Arenas. Unfortunately, it gets even worse. Crittenton never played in the NBA again after the incident, and in 2011, he actually shot and killed a woman named Julian Jones in Atlanta. The former NBA player is now in prison. Caron Butler. Caron Butler had an extremely rough childhood, and his journey to the NBA was both impressive and improbable. Growing up in Wisconsin, about 75 miles north of Chicago, Butler started dealing drugs at just 12 years old. He told Oprah in 2005 that back then his role models were pimps and drug dealers. Caron was arrested a total of 15 times before he reached his 15th birthday, and he actually discovered his passion for basketball while incarcerated in a juvenile detention center. Looking back, Caron says he now takes advantage of opportunities to reach out to kids who are going through similar struggles today. Monta Ellis. Speculation about Monta Ellis' possible affiliation with gangs is based largely on some of the former NBA shooting guards' tattoos. Ellis was born and raised in Mississippi, where the Gangster Disciples have been active for a long time. Gangster Disciples often use the abbreviation GD and use a six-pointed star as their symbol. Ellis has tattoos of both. On one arm, he sports the letters GD, on the other, he has a six-pointed star. Nobody would say this is merely a coincidence. However, it's hard enough to know how much this proves about Ellis' actual relationship to the infamous gang. Ellis himself has never spoken publicly about the tattoos. Some interpret his silence as confirmation, while others figure we'll never know for sure. Monta had a lengthy career in the NBA and is by all accounts an upstanding citizen who loves his family, sneakers, and fishing. Whether or not he had any affiliation with gangs in the past, he's managed to lead a commendable life thus far. James Harden. Most NBA fans are shocked to hear James Harden's name come up in the subject of gangs. The MVP and eight-time All-Star grew up in Los Angeles, and just like other players on this list, he's someone who's appeared to toss up gang signs on the court. This doesn't prove Harden is actually in a gang, of course, but the evidence doesn't stop there. James Harden is a good friend of the rapper Lil Wayne, who is associated with the Bloods. Lil Wayne actually released a song in 2020 named after Harden. And in turn, Harden has reportedly gotten Lil Wayne courtside seats at Rockets games. Harden has referred to Lil Wayne as Five in a tweet, which many interpreted as a reference to a five-pointed star used as a symbol for the Bloods. None of this proves Harden is directly affiliated with any gangs, but it has definitely raised some eyebrows and caused speculation. Some have accused him of being a poser and only pretending to have any affiliations. Without more evidence and without any commentary on the matter from James himself, it's hard to know anything for sure. Final thoughts. The links between NBA players and notorious gangs and gang members are surprising, to say the least. In many, if not most cases, it could all amount to nothing more than cultural expression being misinterpreted as something more. As we've seen, many players grow up in the same major urban areas like Chicago and Los Angeles, where gangs are very present and gang culture is a part of their environment. We should be careful to jump to conclusions. However, there are other examples that are harder to explain. Why did Carmelo choose to appear in a video with drug dealers? And why on earth did Javaris Crittenton decide to join a gang after he was drafted? Controversial topics such as these are likely to produce more questions than answers in the end. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe and hit the bell icon for more NBA content like this. Are there any gang-affiliated NBA players we missed? Let us know in the comments.